in order to buy seeds for farming in the first place, you need to go to a shop. Shops are a feature in every Harvest Moon game, and they only open at certain times. I hate how the buildings in Magical Melody don't open until 9 o'clock. They open at 8 in Friends of Mineral Town, and considering how long it takes to complete all your chores and get to the village with a faster timer in that game, 8 is an acceptable time for them to open. In Magical Melody, you're gonna get really fucking sick of waiting for the shops to open every day. And they always have their days off at the most inconvenient of times. Why can't you have half the shops be closed on Sunday and half on Saturday? You shouldn't have all the shops be closed on the same day, obviously, but still. Since food doesn't stack in the fridge in Magical Melody, your ability to send bought crops and dairy produce to your fridge if your rucksack is full isn't nearly as useful as you'd expect. I like how the supermarket in Friends of Mineral Town lets you buy stuff like flour and vegetable oil and stuff. You don't see stuff like that in Harvest Moon games very often. Still sucks that you can't buy crops and dairy produce though. Both games have restaurants that restore your health. What's annoying how you can't tell how much stamina is restored in Friends of Mineral Town. And that sort of discourages you from taking a risk on spending your money in restaurants. Sure, you can refill your stamina in the hot spring for free, but you have to waste an hour or more of game time to get that effect. And even taking a bath in your house wastes a half hour, even though it's indoors. You expect to be able to buy stuff over the counter from Sabara, since he's all about making stuff out of clay. But even though there's clearly a counter there, you can't buy anything from them. The real reason you want to ship enough clay to unlock him is that befriending him allows you to get the aging pot and mixing pot, because allowing you to just buy them is too fucking simple. You get clay by digging around the second floor of the mine, and it suffers from the limestone problem, barely giving you any money from shipping them. They're only good as gifts for Sabara and nothing else. Which sucks because you need to ship clay to unlock Sabara in the first place. Cafe Callaway is a worthless waste of time. With the sole exception of the yam pie, which is exclusive to the autumn season because bullshit. None of its menu items will fully restore your stamina meter from near empty like a certain recipe from the inn. And you have to waste money at the cafe daily, as well as talk to the employees to keep it in business. Despite the fact that customers are clearly showing up by the droves, and yet if you don't talk to the employees daily, they pack up and leave. Fuck that. The bar is worthless. You're not very likely to need stamina restored at night when it's open, and if you do, you'll get it all restored by sleeping for free. The only restaurant you'll ever use is the inn, because it restores all your health if you choose the right recipe. Restaurants are a necessary Magical Melody, but they're useless in Friends of Mineral Town. Just get Ellie leaves instead. The clinic in Magical Melody is useless. You can't buy medicine from it at all, so what's the point? The only thing it's good for is having Martha there so you can get the rucksack upgrade. But you know, I could have had that from just buying it from the supermarket. You have to make your own medicine by getting Pontata roots, herbs that you can only find at certain seasons, and honey that only falls from certain mountainous honey trees that you can't replant. And that's tedious. The clinic in Friends of Mineral Town is far better and more useful because not only can you buy medicine from it, but you can find out a general idea of how much stamina and fatigue you have from the doctor, who is merely called Doctor in that game for some bizarre reason. The so-called sanatorium, which I assume is a really badly translated hospital, it's only there to give Daya and her nurse sister figure a place to live. You'd think that if you can't buy medicine at the clinic, you'd at least be able to buy it from a house that you had to ship herbs to unlock, but no! The weird thing is that while the game tries to make you think you have to unlock Martha by shipping herbs, you can actually unlock her by triggering the "your kid being born" cutscene, when she suddenly appears without you having seen the cutscene when she first introduces herself to you. The sanatorium is just as useless as the mayor's house, and that's saying something. Unless you want to marry one of the people there, don't even bother. The libraries between the two games aren't that different, but ultimately Friends of Mineral Town is the best library, having 2 whole floors instead of 1, and a lot more bookshelves to read from. Bookshelves that give you multiple different books to choose from, and even books that can be unlocked as you progress through the game. On top of all that, reading a book from the top floor raises affection with the librarian. Although I don't know why it's the top floor and not the bottom, so she can't actually see you reading on the top floor. The only thing Magical Melody has over this is that it changes all the books to a different set for autumn and winter. That's it. The gift shop is really useless. While it's good for buying up all the inventory and shipping it to help complete your shipping list, and for buying yarn to give to Martha, And for buying some table decorations and a painting for your home, big deal. Once you bought all that it has to offer, then what? You have no reason to ever come back here, and you're expected to buy from it every day to keep it in business? Why? Will not buying from it brainwash all the customers who are interested in it and make them suddenly not be interested in it anymore? It makes the world feel less alive when only your spending habits matter. It doesn't feel like these customers have their own lives when your business is the only business that matters. The blacksmith in Magical Melody is only useful for crafting accessories to make more money off jewels, ores, and coral, surprisingly. Yes, you can craft accessories out of coral. How are you supposed to know that? Coral doesn't even sell for that much. How are you supposed to know that you can make money off it like that? At least the accessories sell for more than it costs to make them, so you can actually make a profit. You can also upgrade your tools here, but unlike Friends of Middletown, it's not the only option you have for it. And as I said before, it's better to just buy your tool upgrades and not be separated from your tool for days. Going to the blacksmith in Friends of Middletown at the wrong time will trigger the rival heart event for Mary and Gray, which sucks because it'll make it so that Gray is at the library every day. And then you can suffer from yet another rival heart event if you come in the wrong time. Not a problem if you chose the generic option and went after the drunk, or chose the boring option and went after the motherly nurse. But if you're going after Mary, then it sucks that the rival for her is so easy to run into if you use the blacksmith at the wrong time. Thankfully, the game's meant it so hard to trigger that you have to actively be trying to get all of the rival events to happen. Not to mention the fact that you can only trigger the final rival event years and years after you start the game. So if you're taking that long to woo a girl that the rival steals her from you, then I don't know what to tell you. The Lumberjack shop from Magical Melody is definitely the superior of the two games. It perfectly demonstrates the customizable world that the game has. You can buy up almost all of the property in the town, and clear out the trees and debris to build on whatever property you own, increasing the difficulty of the game if you want by putting the barn and chicken coop further away from your house. Or you can do what I eventually did and move your house so it's just to the north of your barn. But I don't really feel right about being allowed to own almost all the property in the town, including the woods and the mountains. I just don't feel right about it. It's weird. I guess it kind of makes the world feel less alive, because why would they even allow some farmer to do that? And it sucks that you buy up all the property, and then you can't raise everyone's affection easily by planting trees on public property anymore. Why isn't there an option to sell property as well as buy it? You can buy lumber and house remodels and barn upgrades in both games. Although in Friends of Middletown, you can upgrade the chicken coop as well. And the barn starts out letting you have 8 animals. So taking care of all 60 animals every day ends up being the most daunting task of the day for you. You can also buy furniture in Magical Melody, although since you can also buy furniture from the junk shop, I don't understand why they don't just have all the furniture be sold in one place, instead of arbitrarily being split between 2 shops. At least it's better than Friends of Middletown, where the only way you can buy furniture is to wait until Saturday, watch the shopping channel, go to the inn, and think to press A in front of the phone in order to buy the furniture. And you're only allowed to buy 1 furniture a week. That's really annoying, especially since you can potentially get cheated out of it. Anyways, what I like about Magical Melody is that not only can you have Woody build new constructions for you like wells, watering holes, a second and third house that your family doesn't move into, and windmills, but you can also make new constructions going practically wherever in the world you want. Unfortunately, there's still plenty of problems. Because of the camera angle of a top-down perspective game, having the walls of the new construction block your view, it's not always easy to tell why the game's not letting you build in a specific spot. The windmill is a huge example of this. It's not until you agree to have it built that you see how wide and high the part of it you can interact with is. Why can't you always be able to see that instead of having to guess why you can't build on certain areas? Why can't they just have a slightly different camera angle for this? And I hate how you always start out with the construction being far away from where you're likely to build it, and have to manually bring it all the way to the property you want. Why can't you have the option to make it start out at certain properties and save yourself time and frustration? And the most annoying thing about building new constructions is when the game arbitrarily doesn't let you build there for no good reason. Bullshit! Watch the footage I'm putting in front of you right now! There's nothing but ground there! Why can't I build a windmill? This doesn't make any sense! I'm also confused as to what the real difference between wells and watering holes actually is. Because from what I can gather, the only difference is that wells arbitrarily can't be relocated. What, because it's too unrealistic? Just the fact that you can choose to demolish stuff and have it instantly vanish without debris in less than a day is unrealistic. And why is there a limit to how many wells and watering holes you're allowed to build? This is a game that is filled to the brim with trees that lets you plant hundreds of them without significantly slowing down the game. There's no way that being able to build as many wells and watering holes as you want is something the game can't handle. It's not like an NES game where there's sprite limitations. Every time something's finished being built or relocated, you have to sit through the same old cutscene all over again, which means more loading times than you have to deal with otherwise. At least they bother having different cutscenes for building and for relocating, but it doesn't make sense that Joey and Kurt complain about how exhausting it was relocating the building, but act like building an entire house is no big deal. Both should require a massive amount of effort. And again, you have to sit through a longer loading time than usual after you go to bed before you get that repetitive cutscene to appear. And then you have to sit through another load time to start the day. It's tedious. In Friends of Mineral Town, for some arbitrary reason, you're forced to befriend the lumberjack to get him to agree to give you all the upgrades you need to get married. Bullshit. What, does he not like money? What the hell kind of business strategy is that? Why do I have to give him lumber every day to get him to do his fucking job? That's so stupid. Magical Melody suffers from this too, because you have to give Joey, Woody, or Kurt a gift every day to get their affection high enough, and only then can you get the level 3 house upgrade. Why is that a good idea? Again, this doesn't make the world feel more alive. If you're going to do this, befriend Joey, because all you have to do is give him sashimi, which is sort of easy to figure out because you see him walking around town holding a fishing rod on his days off. With Kurt, he likes tomatoes. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to know that, not to mention tomatoes are only growable in the summer. And now for some extra stuff. Extra stuff. A unique thing about Magical Melody is that it's got a multiplayer mode. And it's ass! All of the minigames here suck. Counting sheep, really? Talk about being boring enough to fall asleep. And that's just the easiest example to mock. How about the tilling minigame where the CPUs they're competing with can steal your territory? You try to cover the ground with your color. It's like Splatoon, only it sucks. I didn't show off most of the new minigames because they're honestly not worth mentioning. Just seeing the description makes it obvious how bad they really are. This is no Mario Party, folks. Even Sonic Shuffle had better minigames than this. Not Sonic and the Secret Rings, but that's because the game has actual controls. At least the horse race minigame and beach festival minigames are good practice, as awful as they are. But they shouldn't have put festival minigames that require practice in the game in the first place. The game has a pretty dark story actually, because the Harvest Goddess essentially commits suicide. Although it's never really explained why your character can see the harvest sprites aside from he's the player character, and that means he's special. Jamie is an irritating but fascinating character. With his purple hair, conspicuously absent character description, lack of relationship to anyone in the town, and close friendship with the Harvest Gods and Harvest Sprites of all people, all of which is never explained, it really makes you wonder if he's actually related to the Harvest Goddess in some way, considering how clearly different he is from the rest of the villagers for some unexplained reason. Everything about him is meta. Even his gender only depends on the gender of your character. If you marry him, or her, which is possible only after getting all of the notes, your game just ends. Because apparently that pointless rival system is so integral to the game mechanics that the game just can't be programmed to go on without it. And I swear, the AI cheats during the winter. How the hell is he making money from shipping crops in the middle of the goddamn winter? If he's really storing crops in the fridge just so he can have something shipped during the winter and beat out his rival, then he's the definition of petty. Jamie's rude to the point of being tedious to talk to, which isn't something that I usually say in a game. Although he at least gets more sympathetic and well-rounded if you keep raising his hearts. I love how he blushes and accuses you of sucking up to him if you give him Thanksgiving cakes. The main gimmick of this game is that you're encouraged to do certain tasks to collect notes in your effort to revive the Harvest Goddess. It's not really about that though, as you revive her long before collecting all the notes, and the game even plays it for humor by having your character look confused at being asked to get more notes, without even bothering with a real explanation. Why are you told to get more notes? What does it do for the Harvest Goddess? Don't know! That's not the real reason it was implemented. Essentially an achievement system. And it does a really good job extending the amount of time you want to play the game by giving you goals to strive for. I sort of think Friends of Mineral Town would have benefited from having something like this. You can make up your own extra goals, like eventually completing the shipping list and making all of the best recipes and getting 99 of everything stored. But that's not as satisfying as getting all of the notes. That's right, I actually managed to get all of the notes in this game. For the first time ever. Legitimately, when recording this review. That's something I honestly never thought I'd achieve. But for some bullshit reason, the game glitched and didn't realize I had all the notes. So I was cheated out of seeing the cutscene of the Harvest Gospel where Jamie's giving a sickeningly heavy-handed message about friendship and admits that you're a better farmer than him. Because of the reason he says that, I don't really feel satisfied. I'm a better farmer than Jamie because I actually bother to fertilize my crops, and because I plant cash crops instead of one of every kind for no reason. Not because I happen to befriend the villagers. What a terrible message. The real world isn't as kind and safe as this game tries to imply. It's not really a safe message for children. Jamie has a very good point of being cynical, but the game tries to pretend that he doesn't. In Friends of Middletown, the story is a lot more bare bones, as it should be for a game of this genre. All it does is explain why your character wanted to become a farmer in the first place. It's because he got separated from his family temporarily and found by a kindly farmer who gave him the farm as will. In the girl version, they actually bothered to change the backstory and explain that the girl moved to the farm to escape a boring city life. How the hell is city life more boring than the exhausting repetition of farm life? Maybe I'm just thinking from too modern a perspective? Oh wait, Harvest Moon has telephones, television, record players, and working refrigerators, never mind. Seriously, Harvest Moon defines Scissortech. Advanced enough to have color TV, not advanced enough for farmers to have tractors. Anyways, I guess giving the female character a different intro cutscene is a nice touch, but it feels like development time would have been better spent on giving more actual improvements to the gameplay. Like more options for customization and the horse not running away from you anymore. Instead, all more Friends of Middletown really does is make the translation better. It introduced positive changes, sure, but nothing really gameplay improving. Unless you consider making a bunch of money easier to be gameplay improving, which it really isn't. I don't understand why they didn't just release Friends of Middletown with the option to play as a girl in the first place, and then make a re-release of the game with all those added features if they really didn't have enough time to put them in the game in the first place. While I do really love and appreciate the fact that you can use the mirror to change what color your overalls are, my favorite addition to more Friends of Middletown is Juan's Lottery. Normally Juan is a traveling door-to-door salesman who sells you the vase as well as 3 identical apples with different overly long names. The apples seem to be a scam, but you actually need to buy them to complete your recipe list, which is incredibly unintuitive. For example, to make the AP apple, you need to have all of the other types of apples, including the regular apple, and use it in the kitchen without any cooking utensils. Juan also has a shop on the beach where he sells you seeds that the supermarket doesn't have, along with a ball and frisbee for training your dog to win the beach festival, and a gem of truth as well. In the original Friends of Middletown, Juan didn't have a lottery at all. He was just a typical greedy con man whose name literally means money in Korean. Easily the most one-dimensional character in the game. And that doesn't change in more Friends of Middletown, even though Juan is an eligible bachelor there. An eligible bachelor who doesn't have any heart events. Yeah, that's intuitive. Anyways, not only is Juan now a marriage candidate, but his shop is given additional features you can unlock by giving him enough gold ore. After doing that, you can unlock the apple shuffling minigame, which has lottery tickets as a prize. The cool thing is that you can abuse save scumming to win the apple shuffling minigame and win tickets, because all you have to do is save beforehand and reload if you screw up. Then you can talk to Juan over the counter while holding the lottery ticket above your head to activate the lottery. And as you'd expect, you can abuse save scumming some more to guarantee that you'll always at least win the small prize, which is free seeds from the shop. Which is great considering what a cash crop pineapples from the store are, even if they do take 20 days to harvest the first time. If you win the big prize of the lottery, you can sell that back to Juan for a lot of money. That's right, you can sell things to Juan. Again, you have to unlock that by befriending him, which is stupid. All of these features should have been unlocked by default instead of being a blatant guide, dang it. How are you supposed to know any of this? You can sell things to Juan that you'll never be able to ship for no reason, like flowers, and this can make you rich. But again, going back to my money point earlier, it doesn't really improve the gameplay because it's not like it makes the time management aspect easier. And it's not like it makes the animals in the barn have names over their heads. It doesn't really fundamentally improve anything. I hate how there's exclusive content in both Mineral Town games that you can only unlock by connecting your game to Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life or Another Wonderful Life when it's got enough progress. One, because it requires you to play through the most boring and obtuse console Harvest Moon games ever made. And two, because it makes it impossible to legitimately unlock the sea cabin, the record player, the albums, and the new villagers like Van. The albums are really neat once you manage to get them, because you can change the music playing in the background from the boring and not all the great seasoned music, or really nice and upbeat Mineral Town music, which you probably don't want to replace. The albums are remixes of previous Harvest Moon game songs, although I wouldn't recognize most of them because I'm not really a Harvest Moon fan. So if anything, I appreciate them more because they're all new to me. Unlocking all the houses is hollow and empty and pointless. You can't move your family into them. They're far away from your farm and thus you're wasting time and potential profit by sleeping in them. And the house you unlock from playing for 50 years gives you the final Gem of Truth. But again, the Gem of Truth is useless. These houses are just bragging rights, artificially extending the amount of time you play the game and making you save up money to buy the town house for a hollow and empty reward. You're better off spending all that time playing other games. By the way, you can also buy something called Golden Lumber, which you can get for free by giving the mayor certain items on the 2nd of winter. Don't use it. All the villagers will hate you for so much as putting one of these on your farm, and will waste your time by coming to your house one at a time to call you greedy and express envy of you. It especially sucks if you actually like most of the villagers like I do. Hell, even like Mana. They'll also call you Mr. Moneybags, which is just mean-spirited. Even your own wife will do that. Almost everyone in Flowerbird Village is suspiciously nice, so I appreciate the villagers in Mineral Town being more realistic by being well-rounded and actually having rivalries with each other and their own problems and flaws, rather than just being nice all the time. But having an angry mob show up at your door out of jealousy for being rich, when the mayor is the one who gave it to you in the first place, that's going too far. How is the mayor not more rich than I am? Like, shouldn't they all be hating the mayor if they hate rich people? And again, it's annoying because they show up one at a time. It would have had a much better effect if you had all the villagers show up at your house at once, standing in a crowd in an angry mob before walking away. After all, the title screen shows everyone in the village standing beside each other in a field. So why can't that happen on your farm? If you get Golden Lumber, sell it to Juan or press start over and get rid of it, because it's really not worth it. Build your fence with rocks and branches. Same goes for Magical Melody. It looks ugly, but its stakes will break after a while and the fence will eventually rot away. I don't know why you can't just build a regular fence like Jamie has. It's very rewarding successfully building your own fence. Just make sure not to break any of the tiny stones because they don't respawn or anything. My only complaint is that sometimes the game refuses to let you jump over certain parts of the fence, which never happens in Friends of Mineral Town. That's gotta be a glitch. So, do I think Harvest Moon Magical Melody is a good game? Yeah, obviously I do, or I wouldn't have played it as much as I did. But Magical Melody as a whole feels unpolished. It really feels like Friends of Mineral Town improved on it in just about every aspect. And the only thing keeping it from being perfect is technological limitations. Magical Melody has not aged well. The slowdown and glitches speak for themselves. And my main problem with it is that its animations run on too long and make an annoyingly slow pace. A problem that Friends of Mineral Town was able to fix by being, well, less technologically capable. Because it has less frames per second because it's a 16-bit game, so it's a lot more faster pace. Another problem with Magical Melody is that the stamina meter gets drained by the stupidest of things, and that combined with it being smaller than it should causes the stamina meter to feel obnoxious. At least in Friends of Mineral Town, they're a lot smarter about what drains stamina and have recipes that can be approved to restore your energy a lot better. Seriously, make Ellie leaves as soon as possible. They're all you'll ever need. Friends of Mineral Town could learn from Magical Melody. I love the customization, I cannot stress that enough, but I'm not sure how much from that game it could implement when it's a Game Boy Advance game. For a Harvest Moon game in the GBA, it does the best it could possibly do. In my opinion, it's the best game in the series without a doubt. That's mainly because I prefer Mary over Cliff, and I obviously can't marry Mary in more Friends of Mineral Town, so the lottery in that game just isn't enough to sway me in its favor. Like, the only reason I chose one was because, well, I wanted to be contrary, and I didn't really like any of the Bachelors. It's repetitive, I suppose. There's nothing you can really do to a Harvest Moon game to change that. But play the game while listening to a podcast or something, you won't mind the repetition at all. And the feeling of making progress in the game little by little, day by day, by buying good furniture and farm upgrades and getting Mary to marry you, all that helps to make the repetition feel like an almost non-issue. The fast-paced gameplay, combined with the harvest sprites harvesting a massive field of cash crops for you, And the characters in the village really make you care about this world and care about upgrading your farm, getting as much accomplished as you can. This game has a few issues, but as a Harvest Moon game, it's perfect. I don't care about the translation, the lack of customization isn't a deal breaker for me, and I don't even care about the inferior soundtrack. This game is Harvest Moon. If you like games like this, get it. If all you play is Animal Crossing, which doesn't let you get married and is solely about finding stuff for money, then you're sorely missing out because Friends of Mineral Town is a must-buy. There's lots of stuff to do, and there's a social aspect. I'm not saying Magical Melody is bad. It's definitely the best Harvest Moon game on the consoles. At least it's not an N64 game, at least it doesn't have a terrifying glitch in the mind that freezes your Wii to the point where you have to unplug it, Tree of Tranquility. Yep, the later Harvest Moon games definitely look a lot more glitchy. I guess it's inevitable with the advancement in technology. With more complex code, there's more things to consider and more ways the programming can go wrong. That combined with all the focus on the development time being put on NPC dialogue rather than polishing gameplay is a recipe for disaster. But I'm mostly just saying that Magical Melody is the best console game because I never really played any other good ones. Magical Melody is good, but there's no reason to own more than one Harvest Moon game. And Harvest Moon is better suited for handhelds. And Friends of Mineral Town is the only one you'll ever need. If you think life sims are boring because they're too slow-paced, then you'll be pleasantly surprised with this one. Because I'm a Sonic fan, you can imagine how much I hate slow-paced gameplay. And I cannot recommend this game enough. Magical Melody is unpolished, and Friends of Mineral Town is the best the series has ever gotten. That's my opinion in a nutshell.